Holden had written a script for this one. The perfect end to a perfect weekend for the king of Supercar. 3 weeks ago, New Zealand played host to the international debut of Shell Series competition, and the locals sure went home happy. There was a big burst of rain, and no shortage of pain. But on home turf, the Murph was untouchable. Pole position and 3 wins ahead of stablemate Mark Scaife, who wrapped up his 4th Shell Series crown. It's been one heck of a year, but there's a few more who want to settle a score. Get ready for the V8 Ultimate end of the season showdown as we welcome you to Melbourne's Sandown Park. Final round of the 2001 Shell Championship Series, exclusive to your home of motorsport, Network 10.
Afternoon and welcome to Sandown for the V8 Ultimate, the 13th and final round of the Shell Championship Series. It's day 2 of a 3-race weekend. We've already had the opening race, and that was yesterday afternoon, and it was easily won by the new champion, Mark Scaife. Now, we all know that Mark Scaife's position in the championship can't change. He's already number 1, but the positions behind him certainly can. And the one that's attracting the most interest is this fascinating scrap for second. Russell Ingall, Jason Bright and Greg Murphy are all still in with a shout of getting that championship runners-up position. You have to say the task for Jason Bright and Greg Murphy is considerably more difficult as Ingall is in the box seat. Now today we're at Sandown International Raceway, a venue that certainly holds a special place in many Australian motorsport fans' hearts. It's also an interesting venue for the drivers. It's fast, it's flowing and bumpy in certain places. It produces speeds in excess of 250 kilometres an hour. Time to take a look at the championship points after race 1 of 3 this weekend. Scaife has increased his margin over Ingall, but the distance there between Ingall and Bright is the one we should focus on. 88 points now the difference, and 81 between Bright and Murphy. Now we have to focus on Russell Ingall and Jason Bright. If Ingall, all things going well, finishes ahead of Bright and starts race 3, he will put that second position in the championship beyond doubt. No matter what happens, it's going to be a fascinating battle.
The assignment for Jason Bright this weekend is pretty straightforward. Finish second in the Shell Championship Series points and give HRT their first 1-2 in championship history. Indeed, his teammate Mark Scaife has even publicly acknowledged his intention to try and help his teammate achieve that goal. But in race 1 yesterday, perhaps Jason Bright chose the wrong time and place to try and take up that offer. In race 1, he tried a pretty daring move around his teammate at turn 1 after a restart, and the 2 cars actually collided, causing slight damage to both cars. Clearly, Scaife had no intention of opening the door to his teammate. In the remaining 2 races today, it'll be interesting to see just how willing Scaife is to help his teammate achieve that 1-2.
Hoping to prevent Bright from claiming the runner-up spot is Russell Ingall. The enforcer by his standards has had a pretty lean year with only a race win at Darwin and another at Winton to speak of. Russell Ingall has promised a win-or-bust approach to this final round at Sandown, and with only a small points buffer between he and Jason Bright, he'll have to. Will the enforcer be the championship bridesmaid for a 3rd time? We'll find out this afternoon.
The 3rd driver vying for the runner-up position in the championship is Greg Murphy, with 4 consecutive podium results in the last 4 rounds, including that emotional home victory in New Zealand. He's a form driver and focused on second. But yesterday dealt Greg Murphy a cruel blow. A stop-go penalty for using too much of the ripple strips means that he'll start from position number 8 today. He may be 81 points behind Jason Bright, but if you're looking for a dark horse, well then Greg Murphy is your man.
The V8 Ultimate this weekend is all about 3 150-kilometre events with compulsory pit stops in each race, and that's for tyres. Neil Crompton, welcome back. We discussed this yesterday. It's proven to be an interesting format.
I think it's a great format, certainly a very tough format. We talked about that yesterday, and it proved to be the case. Hard on the drivers, very hard on the tyres. The races are just long enough, and this track is tricky enough that it really burns up the rear tyres. So those people that set their cars up properly and look after the rear tyres are certainly rewarded.
It is a good distance and time, isn't it? Because it seems just long enough for the drivers, for the teams to to get their teeth into it, but not too long, not too short.
Yeah, I think it's an ideal format, and by the time they get to the end of 3 one-hour races this weekend, everybody's going to know they've done it.
Just quickly, rain, how's that going to play today?
Well, it's a real wild card. It's going to totally turn things upside down. What it'll do is favour those people who've got track position on their side. So Mark Scaife, Craig Lowndes, those people at the top of the order are going to go very well, because if it does get wet, and it certainly looks like that's going to be the case at the moment, they'll be able to extend their lead early in the race while everybody else is swamped in the spray. The other thing to look out for in the wet is certain people may just hit the nail on the head in terms of wet track setup, and if they do, look out for people scorching through the field.
One race already out of the way this weekend. That was yesterday afternoon. Mark Scaife was the victor. He's with Barry Sheen.
So, Mark, you've absolutely creamed them this year, so your championship's over now. What are you going to do? You can help Brycey now?
Well, I mean, we didn't look like we were yesterday in some ways, but I was actually trying to help him in some ways. The race was a tough race, and what we'd like to do is, if we can, get to the lead, and if we've got, you know, a 1-2 going, then we'll sneak around the other way. But as it stands, when it's wet and dry and the sort of strategies, Baz, that are in these races, I mean, who knows what's going to happen?
What happened yesterday? I mean, I couldn't understand what was going on in the first corner here, and Brycey was going around the outside. You were banging wheels. I thought,
Well, it was the restart, and I sort of gave him a bit of a hand at the restart by not sort of propping too much and letting him come with me. And then my plan was for the two of us to sort of get away as far as we could, and then for us to swap round if they wanted to swap around. But to do it at the restart's a bit of a drama, because you end up getting back in the pack with the rest of the guys, and it's a bit serious back there, as you know. So that wasn't my plan, and two cars just getting around there is a drama. And I mean, it's unfortunate, it's a racing thing, and I mean, we're both race drivers, so we certainly we're trying to, you know, not run into each other, but at the same time, that's what happens.
no, I could tell you were really calm about it by what you said on the radio.
Well, I just didn't, I didn't want that stuff to go on. I mean, that's not good for a team, and that's the way it turned out.
You've done it this year. Really, congratulations. I mean, you've absolutely creamed them.
Thanks, Baz. I mean, it has been a fantastic year, and I mean, there's right now the championship is so tough. I mean, you say it week in, week out, the amount of guys that are there to beat you. Ford have done a better job this season. There's been plenty of opposition from our own ranks, and it's been a really rewarding year, probably the best year of my career.
Well done.
Thanks, mate.
This is the V8 Ultimate, and the ultimate battle is for second place in the championship. Can the Enforcer hang on? We'll find out.
The Enforcer takes out round 10 of the Shell Championship Series.
Have a look at that.
Big brake lock up on the Castrol Commodore. The V8s are the best motorsport in the land, and they certainly attract some of our top sporting heroes. Recent Australian Open Golf champion Stuart Appleby visited Sandown this weekend and took a ride in the Super Cheap Autos Ford with Stephen Ellery. Clubs in the boot. He got locked in and thoroughly enjoyed it. Now let's take a look at the weather for today's V8 Ultimate, because it's not looking all that promising. Rain at times. I can tell you it's raining right now. Light to moderate northeast winds and a maximum temperature of 18 degrees Celsius. It's certainly going to make the track nice and slick and very entertaining. Let's take a look at exactly where we are. It's the final time the Shell Championship Series visits Victoria for the year. Of course, it's the final round, and we're around 20 kilometres southeast of the Melbourne CBD. It's just a short drive from the city centre. The track itself, 3.1 kilometres, 9 turns. Craig Lowndes' lap record has not been eclipsed as yet, and plenty of overtaking positions. And someone who can tell us all about it is Mark Scaife with the Kmart Inside Line.
Welcome to the Inside Line. Thanks, Lee. This is a great circuit. Sandown International Raceway is one of the fastest sections on this main straight and back straight that we experience in Australia. About 260k, deep under brakes, very bumpy braking area, hard to find the turn-in spot. Make sure you don't get too much of that curb off the back of there, back to second, fourth to second, cheat the gear change, off the curbs, bang, sideways. Here we go, second gear, really important exit here. Run it up on the curb like a motocross berm, best exit you can possibly make, and up through the gears. Uphill, it's quite a steep incline that you can't really pick up. Sixth gear, about 260 kilometres an hour, into the 50 braking marker and turn it in. On the curb, cross this curb, hard on the brakes into the old Dandenong Road. Very, very easy to lock a wheel. Again, use all the curb on the exit. Bumpy little section, very tricky braking area, bad braking Great fade by the end of the lap. Turning in, bit of understeer, and a very important exit onto the main straight. Great passing opportunity if you get a good round up here. The fellas, 45 laps around here is going to be tough work. See you Sunday over.
Great crowd in attendance. Although the rain is coming down, they'll certainly be given plenty of entertainment today, and there was some fairly spectacular action yesterday in the opening race of the weekend. Take a look at this. Cameron McConville in the Lansvale Smash Repairs Commodore rolled after contact with Mark Larkham, and that left Cameron with a bit of a dizzy spell and a sore head, and the team with plenty of work to do. Greg Rouse brings us up to date with the latest.
Well, you wouldn't have rated them any chance, Lee, to be on the grid here for today, but have a look at this. The car's a little damaged around the edges, but this team has worked frantically overnight, and Cameron McConville, you will take part in both of today's races.
Absolutely, Rusty. I mean, who would have thought, having done a complete barrel roll at the end of the front straight yesterday, I got out of the car. Once I got my bearings, I looked at it and thought that car's a write-off, and I mean, I'm just unbelievably proud to be associated with these guys. Like, they've just worked till 4:30 this morning and have brought the car back. Believe it or not, it's within 1 millimetre of being straight all the way around, and unbelievable job.
And you've had some help from the opposition too. Someone else here in pit lane's been tipping in?
Well, Phil Munday of Phil Munday Panel Works. Obviously, Lansvale Smash Repairs own this car, and Phil Munday opened up his panel shop for us last night. He actually was there helping work on the car till midnight himself. Even kept the pizza shop next door open to deliver pizza to the guys all night. And you just can't say enough about a team of 6 full-time guys that can rebuild a car like that. It's just unbelievable. On the warm-up this morning, we were 14th fastest. Car felt fantastic.
Well, I know you're feeling a little sore and sorry today, but best of luck for the races, Cam.
Thanks, Rusty.
The race is on for second in the championship. Can Jason Bright give HRT their first ever 1-2 in the Shell Championship Series? We'll find out. Race 2 is after this break.
Jason Bright wins for the Holden Racing team.
Welcome back to Sandown. We're getting ready for race 2 and have a look at the conditions here in Victoria, just outside of Melbourne. The track is wet and greasy, and that will certainly make things very, very interesting, exciting, entertaining, as you wish. The grid has been cleared, and we are moments away from the second of 3 150-kilometre races this weekend. Yesterday's opening race was in dry conditions, something different, something new today. Let's check out how they will line up for the second race of the V8 Ultimate. From pole position, and these reflect the finishing positions of yesterday, qualifying positions on the right-hand side of the graphic. Scaife, Lowndes, Kelly, Ingle, Bright, Ambrose, Seaton and Murphy, the first 4 rows.
Jason Bargwanna and Bradley Jones climbing up to 10th. It was a great effort, that, from 23rd on the grid. Stephen Ellery and Stephen Johnson, Larry Perkins and David Bernard, Stephen Richards and Garth Tander.
Tander was a little down on himself. He made an error. He could have finished higher. McDougall climbed up from 31st to 17th. Richards, Radicic had a stuck throttle. That's what forced him all the way back to 20th position, and Rodney Forbes in 24th.
Matthew White and Mark Larkham. Paul Morris had some problems yesterday, finds himself back on 27th. Anthony Tratt, John Faulkner, Paul Romano. Rick Kelly blew an engine in the Holden Racing Team Commodore. He'll start right down the back alongside Cameron McConville. Amazing job by that team to get that car repaired in time for today.
32nd and final vehicle on the grid as they are in the middle of their warm-up lap. Wet, greasy conditions. We'll give you a look at the in-car cameras. Paul Radicic, the Rat, was starting to force his hand, and he was coming up through the field. But then a stuck throttle put paid to his hopes yesterday. That was the Shell Helix in-car camera. Russell Ingle, the Strathfield in-car, fighting for second. Exciting times for the Enforcer.
Yeah, he's got it all to do. If he finishes in front of Jason Bright in this race and manages to start race 3, he will nail second place in the Shell Championship Series. The 3rd time he's done that in his career. Greg Murphy in the Kmart Commodore. He's someone who's working hard here to try and steal that. He's still in with a mathematical chance of taking second in the series, but boy, he's got a lot of work to do.
Craig Lowndes, an outstanding drive yesterday from 14th to 2nd. Very, very calculated. Strategy was good, and then they were marvellous in the pits, the Gibson Motorsport team. In-car camera shot there for Craig in the AU XR8, and he starts alongside this man, the 2 times, the back-to-back, I should say, Shell Series champion, the VB in-car onboard camera. Mark Scaife starts in the best possible position, front row, pole position, and heading for another win perhaps. Marcus Ambrose, our final in-car camera. the Monroe in-car camera, and Marcus will be hoping to be Ford's best finisher. He's got 2 opportunities to get his first race win in a V8 Supercar.
I guess the question, Neil Crompton, is would anyone have taken the gamble and gone out on slick tyres in these conditions?
Well, that's the one that Barry and I have been discussing down this end of the table. If you did elect to run with slicks, it may prove to be a quite healthy gamble at the moment because it's not really tumbling down. Because the other thing is, though, given the fact that there is a compulsory tyre stop, some people will be opting for wets and then they'll change onto slicks, which would be certainly the safe option. There is certainly, as you can well see from that shot there of Mark Scope's car, a lot of water on the road. And there you can see the grooves, wet tyres on the newly crowned champions tyres, and I think you'll find the majority of the field have opted for that. The problem with slicks in these 50-50 conditions is they don't build any temperature, and it's so easy to lose control of the car. Marcus Ambrose on wets.
You'd have to say that the best bet would be wets, wouldn't it? Because after all, you're coming in for a compulsory stop. If you take a punt on slicks, you're going to be much slower. You know, to try and get your temperature in there, there's no chance.
However, there will be somebody, I'm sure, out there who's taken the punt. So
but if you're up the back end of the field, you'd take a punt, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Definitely.
You've got more to lose if you do that at the front end of the field.
Let's not forget turn 1, Holden turn over the years here at Sandown, particularly when it's wet. Boy, is that a hot spot for action. We'll keep our eyes on that. It was a hot spot yesterday when Cameron McConville rolled the Lansvale Commodore. We're seconds away from a start. It's the opening race of the day, but it's race 2 of 3 over the weekend. Lowndes and Scaife from the front row, and it looks like Lowndes won that, hands down. Side by side, no, Scaife has come back. Wow, great comeback there, and Greg Murphy blasts through the field. Look at Murphy on the outside. This has been an outstanding run from him. His teammate Todd Kelly's on the inside. The Kmart Commodores are flying.
I'd say Lowndes has got some kind of problem because he definitely got a better start, but he's lost so many places in the run up.
He lost it quite quickly. His jump was good, but then he got a lot of wheel spin thereafter, and the 3 Holdens shot to the front.
So Mark Scaife leads them round through turn 4. Greg Murphy, boy, did he pounce. He came from 8th right up to 2nd before the first turn. Bright has dropped back. Good start by David Bernard in the Haviland Ford. Here we go.
The danger for these cars further back in the pack. Look at the amount of spray and mist back there.
Oh, it's Larry. Oh, dear me.
So I was going to say, you get caught up in that bumper-to-bumper stuff, and usually someone takes a bit of damage on board, and Larry Perkins is the first one to suffer.
So, Holden's 1, 2 and 3. The first of the Fords is Lowndes, makes an inside move on Kelly.
Whoa,
Thank you. Nice one. Has he overcooked it? Kelly tries to come back. Ambrose is in contention as well.
Side by side, and Kelly cuts across in front of Lowndes. Lowndes wants to argue, though. He comes up the inside under brakes. There could be fisticuffs here. They're side by side. Holden and Ford. Final turn onto the pit straight. Who's going to give way? Kelly on the inside. Lowndes on the outside. They're leaning on each other. Marcus Ambrose wants a slice of the action too. Craig doesn't want to back off. Getting up to 200, over 200 kilometres an hour, side by side past the grandstand. And Ambrose has got a great run out of that turn. So Lowndes backs it off a little bit, and Kelly takes that position back.
Safety car is on the circuit.
Ah, okay. All the field's slowing down now, so they've brought the safety car out.
Someone's
look at this.
got a big fire in Larry's car coming off turn 4 onto the back straight, and we've got another car at the end of the back straight with dropping oil and smoke everywhere. So Larry with a big problem there, and I think... Yeah, there's that's the car I was telling you about, the Romano car.
Romano thing.
Look at that. Short wheelbase Commodore, new model unveiled today.
Special downforce bonnet. That's brilliant.
Damage to a number of Commodores in the pack there. And it was always going to have it. Wet, slippery conditions, tons of spray. Everyone pumped up for that first lap. Very rarely you'll get through without any damage.
Wow, what an exciting start. Greg Murphy, the biggest winner. He blasted from 8th up to 2nd and is right there with Mark Scaife. Impressive stuff from his teammate too, Todd Kelly, who was fighting it out. Now watch Murphy left of screen. The Shell Helix replay right around the outside of Marcus Ambrose. Wraps up Russell Ingall as well. He's side by side with his teammate at the moment. He says, I'll take Craig Lowndes as well. Flip back on the outside of there. And watch Todd Kelly, centre of screen. He'll duck on the inside of the silver and black AU XR8. He comes on the inside of Craig Lowndes. A dynamic start from the Kmart boys.
There was a yellow flag being waved back there on that replay, the Shell Helix replay, so somebody must have stalled back at the back end of the grid at the start of the race as well.
Let's see if we can catch the Perkins incident from this cherry picker shot. Let's see where Larry is. He's a bit further back in the pack. That's his teammate Russell Ingall up ahead. And where's Larry? There he is.
There's Larry there.
Now watch this.
Around the outside of McConville.
And he's just behind Romano, so it looks like it might have been some sort of...
there you
look at
go,
them. There
look
were
at that.
6 cars involved in it, 7. Oh, and Larry's already got a fire on board.
McConville avoided that incident, but Larkham was in there, Wheel was in there, Anthony Trapp was involved as well.
The further it gets down, the first one goes through. Oh, look at that. Fire under the back.
This was the fire, the replay of the fire situation. Larry getting out okay, but the marshals were onto it very quickly. And they managed to get that fire doused very quickly with the fire extinguishers.
Just having a word there with Jeff Breck, guys, from the Holden Racing team. The officials are just looking at a possible pass between Bright and Stephen Johnson just before that yellow flag came out. Now, at the moment, Bright is behind Stephen Johnson. He's playing it safe, just so that they haven't done anything wrong, but they're hopeful that when the officials...